Hi, I'm Ben from Cambridge Audio, and I'm here at CEDIA 2013 to talk to you about some brand new speaker ranges from Cambridge Audio. First, we have our new SX series, which replaces the older S series speakers. We have three models in the range: the SX50, SX60, and the SX120 subwoofer. The SX50 and the SX60 are both stand-mount speakers, which feature silk dome tweeters and doped paper cone drive units to offer a beautiful, smooth sound. Available in two finishes, walnut and black, and available now. We also have our brand new Aero speaker series, which you can see here behind me. Now, Aero is an amazing new speaker range from Cambridge Audio, featuring some very, very interesting new technology. Now, what you can probably see from the new speakers is that instead of using traditional tweeters, we have chosen to use our patented BMR drive unit technology. So all of the Aero speakers use BMR drivers instead of traditional tweeters. Now at Cambridge Audio, we've been working with BMR for about 5 years now. You may remember it originally being in the Minx, Min 10 and 20, and then we sort of tweaked them a little bit and came out with the Min 11s and 21s. We're now on our third generation of BMR drivers, which we're using in our Aero series. Now, so much more than that. It's much more than we've just stuck BMR drivers in the units. There are three huge advantages of using BMR drivers instead of traditional tweeters. The first advantage is the 180-degree dispersion that BMR drivers have. So this means that the whole Aero series are far less susceptible to awkward positioning in rooms. They're much easier to place and they sound great wherever you are. It eliminates the old sweet spot problem. Wherever you are in the room, they sound fantastic. Second big advantage of using BMR is a normal speaker with a traditional tweeter. The crossover point, when the audio travels from the tweeter to the mid-bass driver, happens at around 3K. And that's unfortunate because that 3K is the human ear's most sensitive region of hearing, most sensitive region. For example, that's the frequency that babies cry at. So at 3K, where the crossover happens in normal speakers, the human ear is susceptible to distortions in the crossover network and also distortions and differences caused by different materials that are usually used in tweeter and mid-bass driver. So Aero gets around this problem because the BMR driver covers the entire frequency range from 22K all the way down to 250 Hertz. So therefore we're shifting the crossover point all the way down to 250 Hertz, way, way outside of the human ear's most sensitive region. So it gives us a much cleaner, crisper, less distorted sound. Which leads me on to the third benefit of BMR, is in a traditional speaker, this is usually a mid-bass driver. Now a mid-bass driver is a kind of jack-of-all-trades driver. It's doing mid and it's doing bass, and it does an okay job of both, but it's not optimized for either. With Aero, because the BMR driver is covering everything from 22 all the way down to 250, the BMR driver is doing all of the mid-range. So that means that in all of our Aero speakers, these are dedicated subwoofers. These are not mid-bass drivers because the BMR is doing all of the mid-range. So that means that these subwoofers are completely optimized for efficient bass response. They are dedicated subwoofers. So again, we've got a much punchier, great sounding set of speakers here. When we've demoed this so far to the Audio Plus guys, they've been absolutely blown away and surprised by the sound quality that these speakers are capable of. So well worth you guys getting a good listen of these. A few different models in the range. We have the Aero 2, which uses our BMR and a 6.5-inch subwoofer. We have our Aero 6 floor standing, which uses our 2.25-inch BMR, but this time twin subwoofers running in parallel. So it's still a traditional two-way design. The BMR is doing all of the mid-range, and then we've got twin 6.5-inch subwoofers for a great bass response. We have our Aero 3, which is the surround sound speaker. Now this is slightly different because it uses two 4-inch BMR drivers to cover the entire frequency range. But what makes this speaker a little bit interesting is that it's actually partitioned down the middle. So you can use it in two different configurations. You can use it as a bipolar speaker, Or you can send separate runs of speaker cable to each drive unit effectively and run it as a dual monopolar speaker. So you can run it as a 5.1 and a 7.1 speaker from a single speaker. We also have our Aero 5 centre speaker, which uses two 5.25 inch subwoofers with our 2.25 inch BMR driver. And then finally down here we have our Aero 9 subwoofer, which is a 500 watt subwoofer with twin 10-inch subwoofers. We have a 10-inch forward-firing driver and also a 10-inch downward-firing auxiliary bass radio to give us a fantastic, powerful sound. All of the speakers ship with magnetic removable grills, so you haven't got to worry about lugs and sort of speaker holes in the front of them. And they're available in two finishes, the dark walnut and black finish. So have a listen to these speakers as soon as you can, and we think you'll be blown away by them.